Round 1 tips. Now, last week, didn't do too well, only getting 2 out of 5. Started off alright and then it all went terribly wrong. But that was last week. We're going to regroup, analyse ahead, and hopefully get better than 2. We kick off with the unofficial season opener of the Carlton Blues taking on the Richmond Tigers. Not even the first game in Melbourne anymore, apparently. But anyway, Carlton last week, they did what they are now known to do, just get out to a lead and let it slip by. And Richmond had a decent year last year. They should improve a little bit, but I like what they're doing. I do think Carlton will still win this, even though just for the memes alone, I would love to see the Tigers win. There's no way Carlton. Well, actually, there's totally a way, but surely not. Carlton lose this game 2 years in a row. Like, they have to see this coming. They know they have to win this game. So just for that, I do think Carlton will win. Then, Friday night footy. The Essendon Bombers taking on the Hawthorn Hawks. Now, the Hawthorn game, they were pretty disappointing last week. It was the only game I didn't actually get to watch, but from all I heard and reporters and all that, they were pretty disappointing, especially in the midfield. But I still think that they'll be better than the Bombers in that aspect. Although Merritt would be a handy inclusion. And that is going to be one of the talking points. Merritt versus the Hawks and all of that. That should be quite spicy. But I'm still going to tip the Hawks, though. I do think the Bombers are just... There's just something lacking there. Although I would not be surprised if they just pull something out of their ass and get it done. But just done with the Hawks here. And then on Saturday afternoon, early Saturday afternoon football, is the Western Bulldogs taking on the GWS Giants. Now, these were the 2 surprise packets of opening round. They did far better than I expected them to, especially the Giants, actually. And the Bulldogs, going on the road to beat the defending premiers, there's no better win than that in football, I don't think, really. Anyway, I am going to tip the Bulldogs, though. I do think they're more complete. If the Giants still have a few missing, I think they just got the Hawks by surprise, but the Bulldogs, they should be prepared for that. So, Bulldogs for my tip. And then, slightly later, Saturday afternoon football, the Geelong Cats taking on the Fremantle Dockers. Now, the Cats had an absolute nightmare up on the goalpost, which was just great to watch. Fremantle, they have a couple of injuries. Hayden Young in some doubt. But I think they should do a lot. Round 1 last year, they did the same fixture and it was went horribly for the Dockers. They'll do better than that. But I'm still going to tip the Cats. They've had a competitive run on the board. They played last week. Dockers are coming in a bit cold, so I'm going to tip the Cats on this one. But I think it'll be close. And then the first Saturday night game, the Sydney Swans taking on the Brisbane Lions. Brisbane, they will want to revenge from last week. Sydney had a horrible first half. It really is the only reason Carlton actually looked alright, really, in my opinion. And then they had the absolute third quarter of the century. But the Swans, they look good when they're on. Again, though, the Lions, they're pretty good when they're on too. This is going to be the game of the round. It's very tough to tip. It's 50-50 in my head. But Harris Andrews, Zach Bailey, Darcy Gardner's not much of a loss, but those other two are massive. And it's at home. It's at home for Sydney, so I'll tip the Swans. And then the other Saturday night game, the Collingwood Magpies taking on the Adelaide Crows. Now the Pies, they did a lot better than I thought they would, especially with their outs. Jordan De Goey looks great. Nick Dacos was flying, as was Josh. Although we knew that. But anyway, Adelaide have a bit of a history with taking on the Pies at the MCG. They always just fall short, usually by a goal. This is tough to tip. These are both great games on Saturday night. It will be on a split screen for me, that's for sure. I want to tip Adelaide, but because Collingwood actually played last week and they got that run in the legs, and that's going to be a theme in my tips this week, I'm gonna tip the Pies. Then the first of the Sunday afternoon games, North Melbourne Kangaroos taking on the Port Adelaide Power. Kangaroos should do better this year. I hope. I think. We'll see. Port Adelaide should definitely do better than this year. Straight up, just keep it simple. I'm going to tip Port Adelaide. I just think they have too much depth that the Kangaroos just don't have. Their bottom six is a lot better. And then the next Sunday afternoon game is the Melbourne Demons taking on the St Kilda Saints. Now, the Saints, what was that fourth quarter? I mean, they shot themselves in the foot big time. I haven't seen a team do that since Melbourne losing to St Kilda last year. In saying that though, I do think St Kilda, they played last week, they could have run on the board. As I've said in the previous tips, I do think they get it done here. It's at the MCG again. They just played there. They should play a little bit better. Surely the Saints get over the line this time. And then lastly, on a Sunday night, the Gold Coast Suns taking on the West Coast Eagles. Gold Coast are winning this. I will delete my channel if the Eagles actually manage to beat us. So yeah, that's that. Let me know. What are your tips? What ones am I getting wrong? Besides all of them. I'm sorry if I tipped against your team. It's nothing personal, unless it is.